Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Lock Shop. Dusty and Huss back with you once again, working past a Grey Cup weekend in the Hammer. Huss, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Well, I'm back. My voice is a little bit better than it was yesterday. You know, it's funny. I finished the show yesterday on Winnipeg Sports Talk and realized in my entire broadcasting career, if you took the 10 shows all time where I sounded the worst, at least 5 of them are on the Monday after Grey Cup. And I suspect the other 5 might be after Super Bowl. It was an awesome week. I mean, needless to say, I wasn't too pleased with the way the game ended from a peg perspective, but the Hammer was an unbelievable host.
Great Grey Cup.
Everything about it was awesome. And listen, we had an unbelievable game. Gave you the opportunity to drop a couple what is happenings, and
oh, buddy.
I mean, an absolutely thrilling end to the game. And, you know, we're going to be talking today on Winnipeg Sports Talk about where the Bombers go from here. I mean, the amount of free agents on this club, not that that's different from a lot of teams, but is massive. And guys that have been part of this championship era, if you will. I mean, the 2 Grey Cups, the 4 straight Western Division championships. I have a feeling this team will look quite a bit different next year. So it'll be a very interesting offseason for the Bombers. But overall, I mean, it's what Grey Cup was all about. An awesome game, but most importantly, I think for everyone attending, just a great week, awesome events. Shout out to your pals at the Spirit of Edmonton that treated us
Good
like
time,
kings
good time.
that night. Had a great time there. And then, you know, we got a chance to hook up again on Saturday night, check out some of the Spirit of the CFL with all the team parties. And you probably were one of the busiest guys, though, of anybody.
I'm tired. I don't know if you can tell. I'm tired. I'm tired. Like the Grey Cup. I mean, it's like in the movie The Hangover when they get back from Vegas and the dad is just like, Vegas classic. It's like it wasn't even like it's a runaway. It's just such a busy time, right? Like got in on Wednesday, went to the awards Thursday. The awards were sensational. That was probably the night I actually kind of did it up the most. I was feeling pretty good Thursday night, and then Friday night, we hooked up, went to Spirit, ended up shutting her down, but it wasn't too crazy by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, it wasn't entirely tame though, and just to pull the curtain back a little bit, folks. So I'm there, I'm kind of paying attention to the Jet game, and I kind of figured that he was going to be real busy. Maybe I'd see him at some point on the weekend. He goes, "Hey, I got a couple passes for Spirit, and I'm going to head over there for 1 or 2 beers." And I said, "Well, you know what? I got a bunch of friends that are out, but I'd love to hook up with you." "Yeah, no problem. I'll Uber over. I'll meet you there, and then we'll go." Well, I mean, was it Jerry and the gang there? I mean,
Yeah.
they were having none of the 1 or 2
we didn't
beers
leave.
Yeah, and then our pal TSN Marsh entered the chat.
Oh my goodness.
You know, listen, Marsh seems like the most tied down guy. He's always off in the woods.
And he's running numbers at the CFL, and yeah.
I did not know that he had that club in his bag, and he did. So, anyways, that was a really, really fun night. And then, you know, whatever that time ended up, I actually did have a second chapter to that evening.
Yeah, you did, because I think we left. I don't know. It must have been like I got back at like 1:30. And you were you were going down to meet some boys. I was just like, look at this guy go.
The King George pub was where I went to after getting out of the Uber with you down at the Sheraton. And in that bar, there was like a one-man band, and there was a crew of dudes. And this is like a perfect example of what the Grey Cup is all about. About a dozen guys, all in these white painters outfits, basically, with active Northwest Territories, 20 Grey Cups, all in massive white polar bear heads. And they were whooping it up. Some other people were there. So anyway, shut that place down and then kind of moved into Saturday. The one thing that I wish you and the TSN people and some of the actual media people could have seen was the scene on Sunday, Grey Cup Sunday at noon.
Yeah.
At the Shoeless Joe's across from our hotel. was an individual in Winnipeg. His real name is John Couture. He is known as Cooch. It was his 50th Grey Cup.
Oh boy.
And the morning of every Grey Cup, he dresses up as Pope John the Turd and delivers his Grey Cup blessing.
Oh my God.
And I did a tweet. If you want to go back to my Twitter feed or whatever on Sunday, you'll see a picture of this. But it's John as the Pope, along with Sister Linda, a couple of his bishops. They had like a PA for it. And there were fans from around the league there. I mean, there had to have been like maybe 100 people.
Oh yeah, there it is. Oh my God.
And I mean, it was a combination 30-minute stand-up act, along with, you know, kind of appreciation of the people and the fans that make the CFL what it is. And at the end, he blesses all the Grey Cup virgins. People are there for the first time. And it was like, at one point, there was a lot of misty eyes in the place just for how much this weekend and this event means to people. But it was absolutely spectacular. It was a great way to get into the game. And then, oh my God, what a game. As I said, a lot of people around here pretty disappointed. I was hoping to have a big Victory Monday show yesterday.
Yeah.
And instead it was more what went wrong. And then haunting me even more, Dusty.
Oh God.
I go from Winnipeg losing in the fashion that they did yesterday to getting home. And I was so sick yesterday. I got through the show. I slept for about 3.5 hours. I got up just in time for the game. I said on WST to all the guys I usually watch the games with at the bar, I'm a game time decision for tonight. And I hope to be a Dolphin Shown game time decision. But in fact, I was cooler and smarter heads prevailed. I did not go out.
Wow.
So I watched it at home. And of course, does this sound familiar? My team up 17-7 at halftime. And then through a whole bunch of things ends up losing a massive game. Now, I can live with the Chiefs' loss last night in the Monday Nighter. It is the regular season. And listen, I am so fired up about this defense and the way that it looks. Like, the Chiefs' defense is going to be a huge, huge part of the story. It's not just all Mahomes. This is by far the best defense that they've ever had. The wide receivers just need to remember how to catch a damn ball. I mean, that was embarrassing. Like, Mahomes with the perfect pass to MVS, which would have won a lot of people a lot of money, with, you know, the touchdown, the over 2.5 TDs, all of those props that were involved in that. And then I don't know if there's another quarterback on planet Earth that could have made the play that he made on 4th and 25, somehow hitting his hands. Dude, it was a flashback to the Super Bowl against the Bucs. Now, he was terrorized a lot more by the Bucs front seven.
Yeah, in that game, yeah.
But I mean, the amount of times where he would do something incredible and put it into guys' hands and they dropped it, that stuck with me for a while. So better it happened in the regular season than in the playoffs. It can only get better from here, I guess. But it was a pretty interesting game. And I have to admit, as much as that was the marquee game of the Monday night schedule and maybe the season, I think both of those teams have another level that they can get to. And listen, I'm really high in the Niners. I'm not too sure if it'll be Niners or Philly that come out of the NFC. And again, there's always upsets that happen. Well, the Lions, I mean, listen, you were busy on Sunday.
Oh, I got the text from Patty, and he was like, the Lions. Patty was talking, you know what, about the Lions. And I was getting ready. I was at the stadium like 4 hours before kickoff because I had some meetings. So I was trying to follow along, and then I saw them starting to come back, and I was like, okay, here we go. Here we go. I mean, there's some ups and downs to the Lions. There's no doubt about that. But I do like the Lions in spots against other elite teams. Like, I think they can hang with them. You know, like, I don't think they're like this schedule fraud by any stretch. Now, the rest of the way, they have an easy schedule, which could help them very much. But I think they can play with the big boys. I think they can. And you know what? It was interesting. Like, and I want to get into the Grey Cup game as well. But we're on the NFL right now, so I'll quickly hit on it. And NHL has no games tonight on the sched, so we don't have to worry about the NHL slate. What was that? Somebody, I can't remember who tweeted the other day. But the Cleveland Browns have the same record as the Chiefs and have scored more points than them. Which, I mean, it's not overly surprising because the Chiefs aren't this juggernaut offense this year, right? The Chiefs are a team that is built on an amazing quarterback, arguably the greatest tight end ever, and an amazing defense, right? So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that, well, it still kind of surprised me a little bit. But
if your receivers can't catch, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, that's why I thought they were going to get one for sure at the deadline, man. I thought for sure they, I don't know. It's weird to me. I wonder if it's, well, I mean, it could be their downfall, but Patrick Mahomes seems to always find a way. So we'll see.
The crazy thing,
when it comes back to bite him in the butt.
did yesterday. I mean, like, through all of that, I mean, you think about the second half in the game. Kelsey, we need to get Taylor Swift back at these games, by the way, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know what happened in Rio. That was like tragedy, and they had to move a show or whatever, so she couldn't make it. But that fumble was very uncharacteristic in the red zone. Mahomes did throw a red zone pick earlier on, which wasn't a great choice by him, and he owned it. But at the end of the game, I mean, what do you want your quarterback to do? You want him to find a way to put it in the hands of your receivers on the verge of the end zone or convert 4th and 25s. And he did it both, and they just flat up dropped it. 26 drops. And I mean, the Chiefs are 7-3 right now. They lost to the Lions in the Kadarius Toney game in week number 1, which, as I've stated multiple times on this show, if Kadarius Toney had just played DB that game and batted everything down, the Chiefs win that game. And then last night, I mean, inexcusable for guys at that position to not be able to bring those down from Mahomes, who was dropping dimes. So, I mean, they've got a pretty nice schedule the rest of the way. I know they got the Raiders coming up this week. We've got the I'll just pull this up while I'm at it. I mean, like, as far like the Ravens right now are the number 1 seed in the AFC.
8-3, right?
But they've played an extra game.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs have a 5-1 conference record. The Ravens have lost all 3 games inside the conference. So, I mean, the Chiefs go to the Raiders, at the Packers, home to the Bills, at Patriots, home to the Raiders, home to the Bengals. That I'm planning on being at that game. That's a very different game now that Joe Burrow's out. And then at the Chargers in the final week of the season. So the path to the number 1 seed, again, is very much there for Kansas City. But again, when you're playing great teams come playoff time, you need to be able to rely on guys to catch the freaking football. And that just has not happened yet. And that's the big reason why this team's 7-3 instead of 9-1 right now.
Nielsen Huss with you here on the Lock Shop, brought to you always by our great partners over at CoolBet. Stay cool. Bet responsibly. If you want to sign up for an account, go to coolbet.com. Use the code LOCKSHOP, all one word, LOCKSHOP when you do, and you get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Huss, I do want to go back to the Grey Cup because, like, there was a path there for Montreal to win it, which we'd kind of seen against Toronto. I didn't think there was any way Montreal wins that football game without scoring a defensive touchdown or a special teams touchdown. Instead, you get Cody Fajardo changing the way we will view his legacy by throwing for almost 300 yards, 3 touchdown passes, using his legs on the final drive, having the balls to throw it on 3rd and 5 down the field into a one-on-one to one of his lesser-known receivers. It was stunning. And I know it's the Grey Cup and things can always happen. But I would have never thought in a million years, I don't even know what the odds would have been on the Alouettes scoring 4 offensive touchdowns and Fajardo leading a last-minute drive, a long drive last minute, to beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup. Like, it was the least likely of outcomes, and it happened. How did that happen?
Oh, man. Trust me, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about it. And, it's hard for me to say this because this defense has been, the Bomber defense has been so great over the course of this era. But at times this year, they just seemed off a little bit. And I don't know whether it's, we all know that Father Time is undefeated. So maybe they're getting, a little bit older. But I mean, earlier on, I mean, you look at the BC game, and I got a lot of respect for BC and what they bring to the table offensively. I mean, I think we can all agree that based on everything we saw up until kickoff in the Grey Cup, the BC offense was head and shoulders above anything that Montreal had put forth this year. And I mean, Winnipeg terrorized them. They've sacked Vernon Adams 9 times. So, I mean, they had that, but it's almost like they let up a little bit at times throughout that game. And I'm not talking about with the game on the line. I mean, that was Montreal stepping up, executing, and getting it done.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Bombers go up, boom, 10-0. Spotted a 10-0 lead right off the bat. And then the goal line stand, and I would have loved to have heard. How much were you losing it on that? I guess it's a little different because you're waiting to see where the ball is.
It was tough. I was like, did they get in? And you're waiting to see, and then
yeah, it's not like a what is happening moment. But once you realize that they stopped them,
yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of people in the press box at halftime said, "Well, that's the game. That's over.
Yeah,
there's no way Montreal can come back."
I walked out and talked to some people up in the press box at halftime, and I said, "You're not going to win the Grey Cup if you can't punch that in." But they did.
And I think that's logical. But I mean, again, this is credit to Cody and Montreal and Jason Moss. They didn't quit. They believed in themselves. I think maybe they took advantage of the Green Day set and the longer halftime to refocus themselves. And they came out in the second half, got the ball, and went right down and scored a touchdown. And that's a time where the Winnipeg defense had an opportunity to flex, get the ball back, and give Zach and the guys a chance to go forward and really kind of extend the lead. And then in the fourth quarter, I mean, you know, this isn't as much defense, but an offensive thing. I mean, Brady Oliveira was running the ball real well. Montreal stepped up, stopped them on that play. Then all of a sudden it's 2nd and long. You're probably not running the football. But in previous games this year, the Bombers had taken the ball, run the ball, moved the chains, worked the clock, and won. And they didn't get it done.
Yeah, I know.
And then Montreal did.
I thought when they got that ball back just inside 3 minutes, I was like, okay, well, this is where they're going to seal it away. Hell of a job by Montreal. And then, yeah, the 2-0 and have to kick it back. Even at that point, I was like, well, it's asking a lot of Cody Fajardo, march his team down the field right now. Now, he had guys make plays. There's a fly flying around this studio here. Sorry, I got distracted. I was trying to kill it. But
I hear you in the morning getting triggered by that.
I know, and it's just this one little fly. It's not a full-size fly. It's a little baby fly. Can't kill it. It's driving me nuts. But then for Fajardo to get the ball and drive the field, I was, you know, he's such a good dude. I felt really happy for him. But I also have a Bombers fan at home, and I knew as soon as he hit speaker, Marshall was devastated. Kid cried for like 30 minutes after the game. He was absolutely destroyed. I was just so stunned that Cody got it done in that spot, man. Like it's a legacy-changing moment for Cody Fajardo after, you know, coming close against the Bombers with the Riders, and then Saskatchewan, I guess, deciding that, you know, they were never going to get over the hill with him. To go out and do that, you couldn't have scripted it any better. You could not have scripted it any better for Cody Fajardo. I'm interested when you say you might see a different Winnipeg team next year. How different are you talking, buddy?
Well, like last year when they lost by 1 point to Toronto, it seemed like everybody, you know, had said, "Hey, listen, we are right there. Let's go back and turn this around. I mean, let's finish the job next season." Naturally, with the age of some of these guys, you know, they won't be able to do it. Like I'll tell you that the free agents on this team right now. Eddie Tate just tweeted this out. Here's who the Bombers have coming up. Well, first of all, Brady Oliveira. And Brady Oliveira is going to try for the NFL.
Is he?
No, he is.
Oh, yeah. I was not aware of that.
Yeah. Now, you know, if he's got some interest, he'll do some workouts, I guess. And if he goes, great. And if not, there'll definitely be a spot for him. But Drew Brown, Willie Jefferson, Kolinkowski, Neufeld, Rose, Nichols, Wolotarski, Walker, Jake Thomas, Prukop, O'Leary, Orange, McRae, Cramdy, Jackson, Jeffcoat, Jamarcus Hardrick, Hanson, Hallett, Gray, Grant, Gauthier, Miller, Castillo, Bryant, Briggs. I mean, with the exception of Zach Caleros, Nick Dembski, Big Hill, who might not play. We'll see.
Lawler.
Kenny Lawler, of course. Yeah, that's just the start of it. So this team could look very, very different next season.
Oh,
And
Schoen's a free agent too, eh?
Dalton Schoen,
Yeah.
yep, he's finishing up his deal, and he's going to need.
Man, that's a lot of guys.
I could totally see him being back, but he'll be taking up a lot more of the cap.
Oh yeah, that's definitely going to change. Do you think they made a mistake by playing Big Hill? He got beat on the one touchdown, which
in retrospect, yeah,
I didn't blame him on it. But if I'm Montreal, if I can get somebody out who's healthy with any sort of speed, one-on-one with Big Hill, and it wasn't even close. Biggie couldn't even make a play on it. Dude couldn't even move. And they got some guys behind him that can play, man. Like Clements can play, Gauthier can play. I like Brian Cole a lot. I know you had to move some pieces around, but they had some guys in the middle there that I thought could have stepped up and done a better job than like Adam Big Hill, who was at 30%? Not even.
Yeah.
So,
like he's such a part of the heart and soul of this team. I get why O'Shea gave him every opportunity to play, but I mean, it's pretty hard to look back at the way that game played out, that play in particular, the fact that he did get hurt during the game, that he wasn't available for a good part of it, and say that maybe the wiser move would have been going with guys you knew were healthy and ready to go, even though they weren't Adam Big Hill.
well, we'll see how it plays out next year. But yeah, interesting times for sure in the Canadian Football League. But it's just, Vancouver's going to be great. Vancouver Grey Cup next year. I mean, depending on how the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, if they do get dismantled a bit here roster-wise, could be looking at the BC Lions home Grey Cup in Vancouver, which would just be a hell of a party. Party alone is going to be absolutely amazing. And I cannot wait to see what they do for the halftime show in Vancouver, too, because Amar Doman's going to make that he's going to make that happen for sure. If you are listening right now, what's that?
Just quickly on the halftime show.
Yeah.
Were you able to see it, or like what's halftime for you?
No, halftime for me, we took the halftime show from TV. So I went and grabbed a couple slices of pizza from the media pizza, a little thing there. And then, I just watched the concert from our booth. Now, it wasn't great because our booth, the windows didn't open. They were just open way up at the top. So you could kind of hear it, but I would have rather had the time to kind of run down and go watch it from like the lower level. But I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was terrific. I wasn't like growing up, I didn't listen a ton to Green Day as a teenager, but I've learned to really like their music over the last 15, 20 years. So I was pretty excited to see. I thought they did a good job, man.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. And by the way, how bad was that pizza at halftime?
Well, I was actually really hungry. So
was I.
So
I could.
But you didn't like it? You say how bad or how good?
Yeah, I thought that was one of the worst slices, and I won't mention where it came from or what the company was that brought it, but
it was a little crusty. It was like a little cardboardy.
It was, you would have a hard time. I mean, like, I don't think I've ever said a bad word about pizza in my life. And at that point, like, we had been up all day. We hadn't really eaten. We had a little something beforehand, had been out in the stands during the game. Press box was really busy. Found a couple great seats. So we were there. So I actually went inside for the halftime show. Remus went out to get some video and stuff on the field. And they brought that pizza in, and I'm like, oh, this is like, I could hear the angels singing when they brought the things in, as I wasn't expecting it. I grabbed the slice. I don't think I was even able to finish one. I'm like, wow, that is a first. So I'll remember that. Everything else about Hamilton, though, was amazing. A gritty city.
Yeah, oh yeah. I said today, right off the top of the show, Hamilton is a hard city, man. You don't want to mess with anybody from the Hammer. It's as simple as that. But the party was good.
More legitimate, like, mullets. Not like to be ironic.
No, just real life mullets. Cool. Yeah.
Like legit mullets that guys have probably had for 40 years.
Yeah.
And that was the scene at that King George bar. Like, it was a perfect mix of like some people that were in for Grey Cup and then just some locals. And I mean, man, it was great laughs. And by the way, shout out to Ticat fans as well. That's how you do a Grey Cup. You know what? They all had their tickets. Obviously, they were disappointed the Ticats weren't in the game. But there was so much black and gold representing their team at the big game. It was I had such a great time. I can't say enough about the hosting of everyone. And you know what the other thing was? I mean, listen, we're from Western Canada, don't speak French. I wouldn't have even noticed, to be honest, if this whole French thing wasn't made to be a big deal by certain parties. But obviously the Alouettes felt a certain way, and I respect that. The one positive of that whole snafu was that promo that Drolet dropped on RDS afterwards about the French. I mean, he should go straight to the WWE after his football playing career, because that was an absolutely, I mean, you will not see a better promo in pro wrestling this year than what he did after the game. So anyways, it was an awesome weekend.
Think about like the last 3 Grey Cups. Overtime. I mean, ridiculous finish last year. And then this one. Like 3 absolute thrillers in a row. Like right down to the wire. So it's just tough. Can't get any better. How many days are you thinking it'll take you to get caught back up to sleep?
Well, I mean, the sleep isn't bad. It's not as much the sleep. It's the fact that I'm legitimately very sick right now. Like, put it this way. I got home yesterday. I got back about 10 minutes before we started the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was sheets to the streets, coming in hot right off the plane. Did the show. We were done at about 3:15. I think I was asleep by 3:30. I woke up at 7:15, just in time for kickoff. I went right back to bed afterwards by like 11 o'clock. So like I got plenty of sleep over the course of the last sort of 18 hours. And I will do so again tonight, especially with 0 NHL games on. I just hope that I feel better. And it's the voice. Like every time, you know, like we talk so much. I mean, like if I was just like on a computer or something, no problem.
Be fine. Not an
It's
issue.
that, you know, when you're hosting a show, all of a sudden you've got something in your throat, you can't talk, and that adds things. But I won't be a game time decision for the Jets Lightning tomorrow. I'm a go. I'm already announcing myself in the lineup for tomorrow. I might not take the morning skate, but I'll be there for game.
It's an optional, but he's going to be there.
I will. It is an optional. And hey, listen, let's get to this right now. The boys in the chat are fired up. Richard Croft, Mark, the rest of the gang. What was our favorite prop going into this season? Quinn Hughes over 7.5 goals.
Yes.
It's already cashed.
Yeah. How insane is that? How insane is that? It is November 21st.
I haven't opened the account yet today, but I'm not sure whether that's already been graded. I'm sure it will, because they know we'll probably get in on some other things. But like he's gonna listen, if this continues, I don't have this in front of me and I can't think off the top of my head. Who was when did we have a Hart Trophy and Norris Trophy winner in the same year?
Chris Pronger?
He won an MVP in Norris?
Well, he won the Hart. I'm assuming he probably would have won a Hart. He would have won the Norris if he won the Hart as well. Let me just bring it up. That's the first name that pops. I'm trying to think if anybody has won the.
All you guys in the chat, if you want to chime in on that.
Chris Pronger in 2000 was the last defenseman to win the Hart Trophy, which is kind of disrespectful to defensemen in general. I mean, you'd have to think there's been some defensemen along the way that could be classified as the most valuable player in the league. But let me just take a look at Norris Trophy winners. It had to have been him. He would have had to have won that in 2000. So
hey, while you look that up, Surveyor Brett, does Huss have any comment on the Jefferson halftime tweets?
Yes, and it was Pronger. Yes,
yeah,
that's the last time, 22 years ago.
Yeah, I do. Unconscionably dumb and insane. And listen, like Did that have anything to do with the game? No. But as someone that freaks out when people start the wave with 5 minutes left in a 1-goal game or something like that, I mean, there is an element, as fans, you should save it till the game's over. As a player, and listen, I get it. They were probably feeling real good about themselves after
Just
that
got
goal
that
line
big
stand.
stop, yeah.
And I think that's what he did. He retweeted a Bomber thing about this goal line stand, and I think he said standing for business, whatever the hell that means. But no, I did not like that. And I would recommend professional players to not tweet at halftime during games of championship matches in the future as well.
Not a good look. Not a good look at all. Chris Pronger, by the way, did confirm the year 2000 Norris Trophy and a Hart Trophy. You know, no games in the NHL tonight, but they do have Western Conference, Eastern Conference, and Stanley Cup winners odds up right now. If you want to do a little bit of a reset and take a look at some of the future odds here, let me lay it out for you. In the East, the top 5 odds right now would be the Boston Bruins, who are doing it again. Just one regulation loss for the Bruins so far this season. Boston plus 500, Rangers plus 550, Hurricanes 6-1, Maple Leafs 7-1, New Jersey Devils at plus 750, and then the Florida Panthers at plus 850. Everybody else is plus 1,200 or beyond. In the West, Vegas plus 350, Dallas 4-1, Colorado plus 425. The Kings are 8-1. The Canucks somehow have the exact same number to win the playoffs in the West as the Oilers at 11-1. And then the Winnipeg Jets at 17-1 right now. Huss, is there anything in either conference there that you kind of find intriguing?
Well, I mean, I have to laugh at the Jets, who have been awesome this season. One of the best 5-on-5 teams in the league. Power play's going right now. Oh, by the way, they have the leading goal scorer in the league as well, in Kyle Connor. A Vezina Trophy winning goaltender that definitely has another level that we haven't seen yet. And a penalty kill that's been struggling, that had been a strength of their team going, oh, how the hell are the Jets 17-1 when the Oilers are 11-1? That, again, usually I always joke that I love living in Winnipeg for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is that when the end of the world happens, let me be in Winnipeg, because everything happens here 6 months later than it does everywhere else. Like, people just are not paying attention to what this team is doing. Like, even Merrick, I heard Merrick today talking. He's talking to Michael Russo about the Wild. He's like looking at, he's like, well, you know, the Dallas Stars are a really good team and Colorado's fantastic. And you look, the Jets are tied with Colorado. I mean, they were right there. So
they deserve to be in that conversation right now, for sure. They do.
People are sleeping on Winnipeg, and I don't think they realize how different this team is than it has been in the past. How deep they are, 1-12. Defense certainly could use some improvement, but overall, it's working right now. As far as the real top contenders, I have to say the Dallas Stars have been really, really impressive so far this season. And I mean, how can you not like Vegas with the way that they've been playing so far?
I think my favorite number on that board, though, is the Kings. The Kings are at 8-1. They have the same winning percentage as Vegas so far this season. Like the Los Angeles Kings, to see them at 8-1 kind of caught me a little bit off guard, just because I mean they've been outstanding. Before I looked at these, I was going over the standings earlier today, so I guess it was kind of top of mind. But right now in the Pacific, you've got the Golden Knights, who are 13-4-2, 737 winning percentage. You got the Canucks, who are 13-5-1, 711 winning percentage. And then you've got the Kings, who have a couple games in hand on those teams, but the Kings are 11-3-3 and have a winning percentage of 735. They've got a better goal differential than the Golden Knights. The Canucks have the best goal differential in that division, but I see the Kings at 8-1. And even where the Canucks are at, where are the Canucks at? 11-1, same as the Oilers. I don't hate those when you look at it compared to the Golden Knights at plus 350.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. The Kings, I still do wonder about the Kings goaltending long term, throughout this season.
Not a big Cam Talbot believer, eh?
Well, hey, full marks for what he's doing so far this season. But I mean, we've seen a lot of goalies have great 20-game runs. I mean, I think that was the risk that they were taking. Hell, what will the Kings be if Pierre-Luc Dubois shows up?
Yeah.
So funny. He's already getting heat there. Already getting heat. You know, Dubois needs to play an engaged style of hockey for the Kings to win. I'm like, where have we heard that before? I mean, Mason Appleton has more points than Dubois does this year. As far as that trade goes, Iafallo has 4 more points than Dubois. Kapari's been awesome. He's hurt right now, and the Jets are getting Gabriel Velarde back as well soon. What do we have MVP odds right now?
They're not up there right now.
Because that's an interesting one. You know who, and you just coming out of the trips of all those teams to, I know like Austin Matthews gets so much of the. No, not suggesting we're gonna have a 2-horse race between Leafs for the MVP.
Here you
trophy.
are dropping
But
Willie Nylander love right now, eh?
Hey, how can you not love the guy? And listen, I love it even more because I actually do like Nylander. I think he's an amazing player. But I just love it after Matthews got his money, and we all remember that ridiculous saga of Mitch Marner bending over the team and, you know, in a lot of ways preventing them from being able to do things. And then they really squeezed Willie. I mean, he had to hold out, waited till that final bit. He's now like, what if he continues on this pace this season? What's he going to get this summer as an unrestricted free agent? That'll be a number. That'll be a number that will push. I mean, it'll be close to the Matthews number, I think.
I think it'd be somewhere between 12 and 14.
I'm going to pay it.
No, I think you're probably right in on that one. I was just looking on I'm looking on the exclusives page here because we posted something today. Oh yeah, it's up there. Edmonton Sports Talk Parlay. Nice, got a nice little boost. This was only like plus 100 when we put it up. We got Canada Soccer, the men to win tonight, Huss, along with the Lakers to remain unbeaten in the tournament action. Plus 120. So got the boost from plus 100 to plus 120, which is nice. So you can get that.
By the way, Jake's in the hat. Jake's in the chat. We got to first of all thank the fellas
the replacements. Well done, boys.
And they came through last night.
Yeah, they did.
With a nice little plus 40 banger. And I see some of the fellas were riding. And a special thanks, like obviously I had a brutal weekend because let's just say that I was pretty confident that the Bombers were going to win and cover that game. So it wasn't good. But the Patty G's tease, I was so happy. I got on that. And then, you know, got back to Winnipeg and checked it all. And I'm like, ooh, my account's higher than I was expected. I was fully prepared for it to be in one spot, and it was higher. And I looked and no, it was the Patty G's tease. So I was very appreciative of Pat and Jake, both for helping us out when we were traveling, but also for maintaining the high standard of quality that lock shoppers are expecting each and every day. And the replacements came through big time yesterday. And we'll see see how we can. The guys have raised the bar. We got to get kind of funny to come back after everything that's been going on. All right, Dusty, the boys are back in the lock shop. And there's no game.
I know.
And there's no games on Thursday either.
Yeah. Well, all eyes will be on football on Thursday, right? So, but still, it's weird. Like, huge slate tomorrow. We'll definitely build an awesome parlay tomorrow. There's a huge Wednesday slate, 12 games or something Wednesday night. So we'll get into that. Huss,
what time? Like, okay, let's just quickly look ahead to Thursday. We gotta be on top of this. What time do the games start? Like, we do the lock shop at noon Winnipeg time. I think I remember these games normally starting earlier than that with the early game. Let's quickly look at the schedule.
I'm taking a quick peek here. Oh, my score app is loading insanely slow right now.
Okay, here we are. So yeah, so when we are live, we'll just be into the Green Bay Detroit game. So I think we might have to let's do our
tomorrow
turkey parlay.
Turkey parlay tomorrow. Good point.
Turkey parlay tomorrow for those games. And then when we get in, we can maybe kind of dive into some props for the Washington-Dallas game. And maybe we do something sort of on Thursday's show, a 2-gamer with the San Fran-Seattle game. And then, of course, we got a Friday game as well. Oh, that is awesome. Miami and the Jets. Oh, Zach Wilson. We won't have to watch any more Zach Wilson in prime time or standalone games because he's benched. Who's going now for the Jets? Tim Bowers, I think.
Yeah, and then they signed Simeon today. So you know your season's going well.
Simeon.
So so I think we have to tell the story of Eddie the Gambler.
Oh,
My man, this is unbelievable. I teased this right at the top of the show this morning. So Eddie does crazy things, and he likes to bet max parlays on things, same game parlays out in Ontario. And so I guess it would have been less than 2 weeks ago now, he hit a big one for like 14 grand, 25 leg NBA player prop. And I'm like, dude, that'll never happen again. Like, that's insane. I can't believe he hit one of those.
and by the way, just what he does is he will tease a number. Like, say a guy's points total is over 24 and a half.
Yeah.
He'll kind of like take it to 17 and a half.
Yeah, drop it
and just have
significantly and just take a ton of them. We're talking rebounds.
Yeah.
He does it with rebounds. He does it with assists. Like, you always look at his card and you're like, it's kind of reasonable, even though it's like 20 to 25 different player props. So I'm sitting with him. This was Friday night, right, Huss? No, it was Saturday. He came in Saturday.
This is Saturday.
So I sit down with him Saturday night at the Anchor Pub in the Hammer, and we sit down, and he goes, hey, I got another one cooking, little 23-legger. I was like, okay, what do we need? And he needed, at that point, going into the fourth quarter, he needed 1 rebound from Karl Anthony Towns, and he needed like 6 points and 2 assists from Anthony Edwards. So he gets it. He hits it. It was a 23-legger, bet $25 on it, paid $6,500. So we're sitting there, and he's like, I've done it again. I was like, I cannot believe you've hit 2 of these in the last week. So then he goes, that one keeps my other one alive. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I've got a 25-legger that's still alive. I needed the Anthony Edwards numbers to keep that one alive, but now we got to watch the OKC game. So it was OKC and Golden State. So we had them at the bar, turn it on, and we're sitting there watching it. And he went into the fourth quarter of the OKC Golden State game needing 2 points from SGA and a Chet Holmgren rebound to hit another one that he had $50 on that paid $15,000. So we're sitting there, and neither of those guys played for like the first 4 or 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. So I'm like, well, we'll see what happens. And then they got in. SGA missed a shot. There was a couple of free throws where we're like, oh, Holmgren's going to get the rebound here for sure. And then with about 5 minutes left in the game, Holmgren gets a defensive rebound. They bring it up the floor. He gets it to Alexander. And there was about 12 of us at the table, but 3 or 4 of us were DJing, so we knew what's going on here. And he gets it to SGA, and we're like, shoot it. Just shoot it. And he puts up a 3 and knocks it down. And Eddie hits a 23-legger and a 25-legger in the exact same night for over 20 grand, man. It was, I'll never sit there and witness that again in my entire life. Because, I mean, it'll probably never happen to him again in his entire life, or anybody for that matter. But to sit there and ride along with it, man, I was just like, this is insane. Insane. And,
it was. Oh. And you had teased that to me in a text. And just to, these guys are across the street from where all these team parties are at the Greyhound.
Yeah.
Where I am at, enjoying myself quite a bit. And I'm like, well, we'll come over and we'll have a beer and see what the guys are doing. And I already hear that he's hit this $6,000 parlay. I can't believe it. And we walk in the aftermath of the rebound to the 3. And this was the happiest group of people at Grey Cup. And there was a lot of happy people in and around the Grey Cup, put it that way. It was awesome. What a beauty he is.
Oh, yeah.
And
Huss comes up to him and is just like, well, and he was excited to meet you because I talk about you all the time. I'm like, Huss, Eddie, Huss. And it was my 2 betting worlds colliding because Eddie's like, Huss. And then Huss is like, no, it's you. And they're like, Oh, it was amazing,
kidding?
man.
That is an absolute.
You know what the worst part
all-timer.
is? For about a month and a half at the end of last NBA season, I rode with him on these things. And we could get within like 3. I'd be like, damn, we do it again. And then this season, I didn't hop back on. And sure enough, man, he's hit 3 of them, which is just absolutely insane. It was a miracle, another Grey Cup miracle. What can you say about the Grey Cup, man?
You know what? I said to Eddie, I'm like, Eddie, man, this is amazing. Congratulations. You know what? Call your wife. Tell her, guess what, honey? You're never going to believe this. I just won $3,000.
Oh, man, it was good. It was a really good time. I'll take a look at a little waiver wire action here, obviously coming up with the Fantasy Football Hot 5. Huss, what do you got coming up on
Well, before we Winnipeg Sports Talk, we'll do a big Ed Tate's going to join us, Bomber Cleanout Day, talk a little bit of the future of the team, get ready for this big Jets road trip with Ken Wee, who's going to join us down from South Florida. I actually want to talk CONCACAF. I want to talk a little bit about this Canada-Jamaica game. I'm just, I don't know if Iwanek saw that message I put in chat, but I wouldn't mind maybe getting Maddie on for a few minutes to talk about this game.
Maddie, you kicking around? Did you hear us?
Towards the end of the show. I'll text you afterwards. But yeah, Maddie, if you got
wants
some
to
time,
hop on
we'll
WST today.
But listen, huge game for Canada. And I love the fact that you guys have put that into an exclusive. So I will be riding on the EST parlay Canada, even though I'll have to jump on the Lakers with you, but that's fine.
That's why
Canada
I did it. I get everybody gets to the national pride, and then we can all ride with the Lakers later tonight. I love it.
Canada minus 189. The draw plus 330. Canada minus 1 plus 141. Going to be a lot of excitement in TO for that game. And big tournament. I think they get if they win this, they get the guest spot in I believe it's called the Copa Americas tournament. Basically, what the Euro is to Euro to South America.
A win or a draw, Maddie's telling me right now.
Yeah. Well, basically, I mean, they already won in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So they've got the win right now. So anyways, that's big. So we'll basically get on that. And then tomorrow we fire it up and get ready for NFL Thursday. I might do the show on location. I might be in a bar on Thursday. We'll see. Don't worry. The internet will be good. But I'm planning on this. I mean, now that I don't have to worry about bosses or anything like that. I mean, why the hell wouldn't I set up shop in a bar for Thursday?
You're all right. So, I mean, we're going to be at Boston Pizza tomorrow doing pre and post. And then we're having a watch party on Friday afternoon for the Oilers Capitals game. We're going to stream ourselves watching the game here, chilling on the couch at EST. So that should be a lot of fun too. Because you know what? You said it. We don't have a boss. Why wouldn't we do this? We
call the shots.
Yeah.
We call the shots. We won't be ordering shots until the end of the programming, but we call the shots. And that will be that should be fun. So anyways, we'll kick that around. But yeah, quiet night tonight, which is perfect. A little more R&R. Pay attention to our Canadian soccer team. Hopefully book that ticket to the tourney. And we'll get back at it tomorrow. And we will have a lot of hockey to bet on. And we will put together a 3-game or 4 Turkey Day south of the border.
That's going to do it for another episode of The Lock Shop. Check out Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up with Huss. We got 2 guys and a goalie right away here on Edmonton Sports Talk as well. Huss, we'll talk to you tomorrow, man.
You got it. Shout out Quinn Hughes.
There you go. Shout out Quinn Hughes indeed. All right, here we go. Fantasy Football 5. I see somebody in the nasty chat there from Lock Shop wanting me to call out Jake for a Detroit Lions or a schedule fraud take. I was not aware of this happening. I will save it for later in the week when we track down the Cool Bet boys. I can't say anything bad right now. They just filled in for us a couple of times. The replacements getting the job done. The worst thing would be to come in and be like, start talking trash to Jake after he helped us out for a couple of days in the last 4 or 5. So Fantasy Football 5 brought to you by Century Casino. You can join Lieutenant Eric every Monday and Thursday night. Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge on Fort Road. They actually dished out a trip down to Los Angeles to watch the surprisingly good Browns going up against the Rams later in the season. So congratulations to the guy who ended up winning that trip. From a waiver wire perspective, this is not a sexy waiver wire week, in my opinion. Not overly excited about the waiver wire. If you're listening right now, of course, you can text us anytime. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you have any fantasy football questions, I do see a few that have trickled in there, so we'll certainly get to those. And, of course, there's Mark already asking questions as well. So, like I said, not a sexy waiver wire week. I'd rather spend this episode of the Fantasy Football 5 actually discussing some trades or anything that you've got on the go. I'm just taking a look at, like, Fantasy Pros top waiver wire targets right now. Charbonnet's obviously a good one. He's the number one across the board. That would be a guy that a lot of people will be interested in here. Josh Downs, Ty Chandler, Jaden Reed in Green Bay, Demario Douglas, we've already talked about the last couple of weeks. Isaiah Likely, Rashid Shaheed, if he's still kicking around, he's rostered in 34% of leagues. Spears in Tennessee, 37%. OBJ, 37% owned right now as well. Not overly excited about that. Tutu Atwell in the mix. Jameson Williams, that's an interesting one. But that comes across as a major homer take. But that's one I would probably look at as well. Let's see here. Mark says, I lost Joe Burrow. Do I go with Minshew or Love? Well, are you talking just this week or are you talking rest of season, Mark? Let me know. And once again, if you're listening, 780-218-9999. I don't like Love this week. Obviously going up against the Detroit Lions. Minshew at home against the Bucks. I'd start Minshew. I mean, rest of the season, I'd have to kind of look at their schedules, but I would definitely start Minshew this week. Let's get into a few of your messages. Jalen Warren or Calvin Ridley, half-point PPR flex play. Thanks, Dusty. That comes from Rick in Jasper. Tough question. I think I kind of lean on Jalen Warren here, just because Calvin Ridley has been so inconsistent. I started him in my big boy league. It didn't help this week. If we're looking at like fantasy confessions from the weekend, I know we had confessions a little bit earlier. I left my man Trevor Lawrence on the bench this week. If I would have started him, I would have won. However, hear me out for a second. I started C.J. Stroud, who'd been great so far. He got me 15 points. I ended up losing by 11. Trevor Lawrence had 32 points. A lot of them to Calvin Ridley, who I did have, ended up being my best play of the week. Calvin Ridley had 27.6 points in the league, 7 catches, 103 yards, and a couple of tutties, as they call them. I ended up losing to a team that had Jalen Hurts and Christian McCaffrey. So what are you supposed to do about that one? But now, I mean, I'm sitting here asking you, it's a head-to-head. Right? Texans and Jags this week. Am I starting C.J. Stroud in that game or am I starting Trevor Lawrence in that game? I started Trevor Lawrence in this league for like the first 8 weeks of the season. Now I've transitioned over to C.J. Stroud, but I think I like Lawrence more against the Texans defense than C.J. Stroud against the Jags defense. But it's C.J. Stroud who's kind of got my season back on track. So what am I supposed to do with that one? I would say, like I mentioned, Jalen Warren. Mind you, some changes there offensively in Pittsburgh, so I guess we'll have to wait and see until we know a little bit more on that front. 780-218-9999. A survivor pool pick here, too. I guess we could have got into this on the lock shop, but it works so well. Not necessarily fantasy football, but, hey, fantasy, betting, survivor pools. We're all degens for it, so let's get to this one. Hey, boys, I'm in tough for my NFL Survivor Pool Week 12. I can pick Jacksonville versus Houston, Carolina versus Tennessee, Cleveland versus Denver. Oh, boy, you are in tough this week. I'm leaning towards Tennessee to win. What say you? I definitely stay away from Jacksonville, Houston. Yeah, no, I think the obvious play here would be Tennessee against Carolina, mostly because it's Carolina. Denver's been playing better. Cleveland's been good, but you got to stay away from that game. Jacksonville, Houston, that's a stay away territory for me as well when it comes to a survivor pick. So I think the play has to be Tennessee versus Carolina. Richardson says, great to have things back to normal. Get rested and let's have a fun week. Matt, let me know when you're scheduled for WST. Let us know when you're. Did Huss get to you? He wants you.
I haven't heard anything from anyone on this. I don't even know what he's referencing.
Maybe he thinks you're on the lock shop.
Why he said something about a chat or something? It was
Yeah,
he
said
jump into a chat today.
Huss wants to get you on to talk soccer on WST.
Yeah, I'll gladly talk soccer any moment. So, but yeah, he hasn't. No one's reached out to me at all, and I wasn't on. I don't know if he did it this morning when he jumped into the nasty chat this morning.
Maybe he was in the nasty chat.
But I wasn't on in the mornings. So.
Somebody might have, you might have to.
I don't know.
Hey, Haas, I don't know. Haas is getting ready for his show. He's probably not paying attention.
Remus hasn't reached
Somebody's
out to me.
Gonna have to
reached
out
out to me, so I don't know what's going on.
By the way, I got to hang out with Remo a bit in the Hammer.
Oh, yeah?
He's a good dude. You and Remo would get along extremely well. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. Great Cups don't disappoint. It's just that simple. Whether you're having a good time around the game or having a good time working the game, it's always a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun. 780-218-9999. If you can, here's another name I'll throw out at you. If you can still find Shakir in your leagues, that's a guy that I would certainly look at as well. Buffalo has been so desperately trying to find some sort of offensive piece there. Outside, and I had Shakir, actually. You know what? That's probably another confession. Let me see if I would have. No, I probably still would have ended up losing that. In our league, Matty, I had a tough loss this week, and all the teams all the teams I needed to lose also won. So I don't think I'm 100% finished just yet.
So you're 4-7. Stunners and more than a handful are both a game up on you.
Yeah, I know.
Sambuca's 6-5.
But I finish against them.
Yeah, well, you have to win both. You can't afford a loss.
No, but if I win out, I think I can still get
You have to pass both of them.
I know. It's tough.
Do they play each other? Who plays this week?
Well, I played Titty this week, so did they play each other this week?
I guess
think
so they
I think they just played each other
this week. So
yeah,
you need them to both lose their final two.
The good news is that they also both have to play against the guy who's first in our division.
I would love if the Stunners get knocked out. They got Patty Mahomes.
Yeah, he's got a pretty and
they
have Tyreek Hill.
Well, and they have Jefferson, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty.
But he's been out right now, so.
Well, I'll try to see what I can.
If
see what I can do.
Out, that would be great.
I wonder if I
had a nice big win this week. Top scoring team once again.
Oh, congratulations! What did we win for that? Like $5?
$10.
$10.
I've made $30. I've spent 40.
You spent money this year?
I've had to make some small moves here and there, IR moves. So I'm now only out 10. Need to win one more.
Congratulations on all your success, buddy. You're almost gonna get back to
One year I made money.
Did you? And you didn't even win.
No, they gave me back $25 or like $20 or something.
I usually am, unless I've won the league a couple of years, so overall I'm up. But most years I'm usually down like 300 based on transactions and entry fee. It's a real Ponzi scheme that our buddy Kixie's got running in that league, that's for sure. All right, that's going to do it for the Fantasy Football 5. Coming up, 2 guys and a goalie. Oh, it's been great. I haven't talked about the Oilers being the biggest, suckiest bunch of sucks for, 3 hours now. So I'm really looking forward to diving back into it. 2 guys and a goalie, myself, Cass, and Gager. Don't go anywhere. Very interested to break down the last game, what the hell's going on here with those 2 guys on Edmonton Sports Talk. That's on the way.